Hello, everyone, and welcome to my podcast. I know what you guys are thinking. Okay, just another girl with a podcast, but I promise this is going to be something different. Okay, this isn't just a show, this is a journey that we're going to take together. A journey through reinvention, through transformation, through growth, and not the ones that are super easy and the ones that you see at the end of the road when they've already made it and it looks very polished. No, we're talking about the messy ones, the very messy and deep and real ones. And those are the ones that we're going to be reflecting on and discussing during this podcast, right? Because the reason why I wanted to create this podcast before I even go over the name and everything that you guys are trying to hear, I just kind of want to give some light and shed some insight on the reason why I wanted to create a podcast like this in the first place. Because I've seen a lot of podcasts, I've watched a lot of podcasts, I'm sure on YouTube or on TikTok, you guys have also seen a lot. And we know there's always a saying that the podcast market is super saturated. But where I found that there was kind of like a hole missing is a lot of these stories that I was seeing, amazing stories. I love them. I love to watch, Jay Shetty and all these other podcasters where they're talking about those monumental moments for these, really successful individuals. But where I felt like there was a lack in the podcasting community is having a podcaster that went over the struggles and the messiness and not just of success and, business, but also life while we're actively going through it. And who better to be going through it than a messy and successful and busy and all of these things 24-year-old? We're all on this journey together. We all go through this journey called life and success and all of these things. And there's no roadmap to this thing. I've never been here before. I don't know if y'all have been here before, but I've never done this. This is my first day on this job. There's no roadmap to life on how to live a successful life and how to live a happy life. And what I want to do is I want to share not only my experiences of how I've been able to make these adjustments and do these things to make my life better, to, come out of the depression or to start my business and take that leap of faith, or, from leaving a stable job like the military and going out completely taking a risk and getting into real estate where, if you didn't know, you don't make money unless you sell houses. So kind of like taking that leap of faith and betting on myself and, moving and maneuvering even through the fear in life. Because guess what? Fear, anxiety, all of these things are natural. All of these things are things that we all feel. And I feel like there's this stigma when it comes to success that successful people, we don't feel fear. We don't feel, anxiety. We don't feel pressure. But the thing is, we feel all of these things. We feel a lot of fear. I have a lot of anxiety, but it's learning how to move forward despite of that and learn forward how to take one step at a time through the fear, through the anxiety, through the depression, and trying to make our lives better. And that's a little bit about the reason why I wanted to start this podcast. The name of this podcast is actually going to be The Path Through. Now, this is incredibly sentimental to me personally because it's something that I say all the time. I say it to myself all the time. Whenever I'm going through a very difficult time in my life or something comes up that is very hard, I always say, what is the path through? This is a saying that I say every single day in my life because I'm constantly putting out fires. And if someone knows how to move through stress and to move through a million things happening at once, I have mastered this skill because I have this tendency of putting myself in positions and situations that is going to induce high stress. It's taking a lot of risk. And what I've always said to myself is, what is the path through? There's a path through. I just have to find it. And that's where the name of this podcast came from. Kind of had some other ideas in mind, but this just resonated with me so much because I feel like there's so many people out there that are actively looking for the path through. We've all been in those positions where we felt stuck and lost and, depressed and anxious and feel like our lives aren't where they need to be. And we see all these people that are moving forward and we kind of feel stuck. That is a natural phase that all of us go through in life. And just having someone kind of shed a light on that and give you insight, not just on my path, not on just how I have found ways to move forward, but other stories as well of people who are also in the exact same situation. Right? So we're not going to wait until I get to where I'm going because I have full belief in that. And that's one thing I have full belief in. It doesn't matter how scared I am, doesn't matter how anxious I am, doesn't matter how depressed I am. I am going to move forward. So I don't want to wait until, I'm super polished and, I've achieved all the things that I want to achieve in life to share my story. I want to be on this journey. I want you guys to be on this journey with me. I want us to be able to grow and transform and develop this life together while we're actively going through it. So this isn't a podcast. This is a community. This is a community of people that are going to be supporting you along this journey called life. And life is messy. Life is very, very messy. And having stories and ideas that we can share with each other to be able to help each other get through this. Because we only live one life. Why not try to live the best possible life that we can live? So that's just a little bit about why I wanted to start this podcast. Again, the name of this podcast is going to be called A Path Through. And that doesn't mean the path through success or business. No, it means the path through relationships. It means the path through how I'm going to pay my bills next month. It's the path through, okay, I don't know, where my next check is coming from. It's whatever you're going through in life, whatever path you are on. This is about your individual journey and having a community of people that are going to support you along that journey. And me sharing stories of me personally, of when I've been on that journey and how I was able to overcome it as well. So before we get into kind of what these episodes and this podcast is kind of going to be about, I do want to share a little bit about myself as well. My name is Tanoy Thames. I was born and raised half of my life in Jamaica, and not like the super polished kind that you guys might see on TV. Like, no, we grew up in the mountains. We grew up on the countryside. And my mom was actually the first person in my entire family to come to the United States. And I moved here when I was 10. So just think about that for a second. We have been living this life that we've known nothing else. And all of a sudden we're picked up and we're thrown into this, complete new environment almost, right? So that is the initial time that I kind of learned how to sink or swim. It's either you sink and you fail or you swim and you keep going. And that was the beginning of my path of obstacles and overcoming them and figuring out how to do these things. And I'm not going to say I'm an expert at it, but I do feel like, I have a pretty good resume of putting myself in some very hefty problems and making my way out of them. So I'd love to share, some of those stories with you guys as well. But I came here when I was 10 years old. I grew up in Southern Florida. And when I was 17 years old, I joined the army. And a lot of people don't know that about me, that I was in the army. And I always tell people that I've lived probably like 50 different lives, because before I joined the army, I was in high school and I was doing licensed practical nursing. And I was literally about to leave for college. It was a month before I was supposed to graduate and go to Florida A&M University. And kind of like this divine intervention kind of happened where this recruiter walked into my classroom and I wasn't supposed to be, in school that day. Like typically in this classroom, I am fast asleep, and don't follow my footsteps with that. I'm fast asleep in this class. And, for some reason, like I was up and I was paying attention, and it became this moment for me where I wasn't sure. Like, I wasn't sure that nursing is what I wanted to do. Like, I felt like I've been doing it. I'm okay at it, but I don't feel that passion. So it was either go to college and do something that I knew for sure I didn't want to do, or I could go to the military. And while I was figuring it out, I can get an education, I can have a new experience, I can, do something new while I'm figuring out what I want to do with my life. When that happened, the recruiter's like, just come and take the exam. They're very good at what they do, by the way. Just come and take the test, right? And then after, it's like, oh, just come and do the physical. And then after that, it's like, oh, just come, and sign your life away. No, but she was really good. But I ended up going into the military as a surgical tech at 17. So I had to grow up incredibly fast. I was doing surgeries at the age of 17. And then that started the journey of this new phase in my life. A completely new journey of going through the military. And I will say that was some of the hardest times for me mentally, was the time that I was in the military. And we'll talk about that and how I overcame that in maybe a different episode as well, if you guys are interested in hearing about it. But I was in the military for about 3.5 years. And then I decided again, because again, I have this habit of putting myself in really particular and crazy situations. I decided to leave my stability, leave everything that I knew, leave a stable income, a stable job, and get into real estate, selling houses, something I've never done before. And it's something about intuition. You have to realize that your intuition is the strongest thing that you have. And I feel like a lot of us were so disaligned with our intuition that it tells us things. We have this gut feeling about something and we don't listen to it. And that was the time when I left the military that it really tuned me in to this voice inside of me because I was terrified. I was terrified because now I'm going from, knowing that where my check is coming from to completely being thrown out into something, thrown out into the world, not knowing where anything is coming from. This, instability, this uncertainty is very terrifying. But I had this feeling, I had this voice in my gut that was speaking to me and it was like, take the leap. And, I was like, okay, like this is so annoying. You're so annoying at this point. Like, I'm just going to take the leap just to shut you up because it would not stop talking to me. And after that, taking that leap, going through the fear, going through the anxiety and making that step forward, I got into real estate and I've been into real estate ever since. And being an agent, introduced me to real estate investing. And I started investing, when I was 18. I bought my first house when I was just 18 years old. That house then became my first rental property. And I was then able to sell that property about 3 years later for double, more than double what I paid for it. And when that happened, I was like, this is interesting. Okay. So this is something that, can make money. Okay. And, even with getting my first house, like there's that fear and anxiety all over again and those things that you're feeling. But again, that kind of inner voice. So I took the leap. I got into real estate investing, and we're kind of here where I'm going through another, transforming phase in my life. And it's all been because I've listened to that inner voice. And we'll go deeper. I'll probably do maybe one episode that talks deeper, about my story and the struggles that I've encountered. Because trust me, there's been a lot. Like it hasn't been an easy road, but it's how you come out on the other end of that. And I had no one telling me, that, hey, when you're afraid and when you're anxious, like you need to move forward anyway. If I'm nervous about something, I need to do it anyway. As long as that internal voice is telling me to do it, I need to take the step. I need to take the leap. And I had no one telling me that. So it's like, I was just like, okay, like, I don't really know what to do. Maybe my fear is right. But what we've forgotten to realize is that fear stems from anxiety. And anxiety is something that was put into us from the caveman days to protect us from when we were actually being chased by lions and tigers. So that is something that is innately in us. And there's this idea that you can get rid of anxiety, you can get rid of fear. It's literally a part of you, just like your skin, just like your bones, just like your hair, just like your teeth. It is something that is inside of you. So it's something that you almost have to learn how to coexist with instead of trying to get rid of it. And once I had that understanding that, oh my gosh, my anxiety is trying to protect me, but my anxiety doesn't know the difference between real danger and the dangers that I've created in my mind. So the danger for me might just be instability, right? Me leaving the military, oh, that's unstable, that's dangerous, you shouldn't do it. So we have to learn when and when not to listen to our anxieties and listen to our fears in life. And we'll also maybe go over that in a different episode as well. But just a little bit about me, my train of thought and the way that I process things. And I think for 24, again, I feel like I've lived many lives. And I do want to share that. I want to share that for younger people and the people that are going through those transforming phases. And there's no idea of how to get through it. So let's get through it together. You guys can hop on this journey with me, this transforming journey and bettering myself and, becoming smarter and wiser and more successful and being a better person and being, a better daughter and a better friend and a better family member. So this is not just about one specific thing. This is a guide through life and whatever stage you're at in life. And that's kind of, a little bit about me and also what this podcast is going to encompass. We're going to have a few different segments because I don't want it to be about one thing. I don't just want to interview, CEOs or this person. I want there to be something for anyone that is on this journey at any stage that you're at. So it's finding those real people that are in that stage or just has overcame that stage so that they can share that story and give some insight on how you can also do that as well. So we're going to have some segments about that. We're going to have some interviews. We're going to have something kind of like a series. Like think of it as like a Netflix series. Ooh, what's a good one? I don't know what y'all be watching. I'll be watching some different stuff. Let me think. Ooh, I like Gossip Girl. If you like Gossip Girl, you know. But think of it as like something like that, where there's a season and there's different episodes in that season, but each season is telling a story. So that's what I want to kind of create here in one of the segments is I want to have a season and each episode is going to be telling a story along the journey of transformation. And then also to implement something called the Path Through the Pages, where we just go over different books that I personally read that has helped me a lot mentally and getting through these different stages in my life, getting good habits when it comes to business or money or lifestyle or changing your mentality. Think of it as a book club, right? So every week we're going to sit down, we're going to go over 2 to 3 chapters a week, and I want you guys to be involved. I want you guys to come here, read your 2 to 3 chapters, and we're analyzing it and we're breaking it down and seeing how we can implement these things in our lives. And we're going to hold each other accountable. Y'all can hold me accountable. I need y'all to, because I'm also trying to better myself too, right? So this isn't just about, you guys, this is about me. So we'll go through these books. I already have the first book in mind, which I think is going to be our first episode where we go through the first 2 chapters. We'll discuss it. We'll talk about it. I'll break down kind of like my input. If you guys have like a different understanding of what this book means to you, we'd love to hear your insight. We'll go through different books and we'll go through different chapters of the books, really break them down deeply and see how we can implement those changes into our lives one step at a time. And I'll do the same. I want you guys to be a part of this journey. Like, I want to hear your stories. I want you guys to submit stories and, whatever you're going through in your life in the moment, whatever it is, whether it be relationship problems or business or finances, or you feeling stuck and depressed and anxious, whatever phase in transformation that you are at, this is a safe space to share that story. And obviously it will be completely anonymous. I'll read it on the podcast and then we'll talk about it. We'll talk about ways we can overcome it. We'll talk about things that we can implement to help you through this transforming phase in your life so that we can all win and grow together. Because the path can be very difficult, but you don't have to walk it alone. So let's walk it together and let's go on this journey together. And again, my name is Tinoy Thames, and I hope that you guys are very interested in the things to come because I'm super excited. Join this journey wherever you're at. I want you guys to join this journey and for us to walk this road called life together. And I hope that you guys subscribe and follow us on social media. It is all the Path Through, and let's walk this journey together. End it.